This is Money, Motivation, and Mike, and I'm your host, Michael Wainwright. In charge of the mothership is Jason Wright. And hello to you, world. This is the show that will change your life. You can contact us at info@mx3.vip or find all of our content at mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@MX3 Podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our content, our new content that comes out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. And speaking of YouTube, Jason, we've had 7,000 new subscribers in the last 28 days. That's incredible. Incredible.
Impressive.
All right, let's finish up on these Olympics, and then let's get on to a happy topic. All right, as the games ended, and we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, these Olympic Games, the United States ended number one with 126 medals. China at 91. Great Britain at 65. France at 64. Home host France at 64 in fourth place. Australia with 53. And Japan ended up sixth with 45. Now, the reason I went ahead and went to 6 instead of stopping at 5 is because Japan finished third in gold medals. The United States ended up with 40 gold medals, and so did China. And I believe the United States won the last event of the Olympics and brought home the gold to get to 40. So U.S. has 40, China has 40, Japan comes in at 20, Australia had 18, France had 16, and the Netherlands had 15. Great Britain came in at 14, but they were third in total count. So, once again, the U.S. Dominated every category except for gold, and China tied them for gold. If you're wondering, the U.S. had 42 bronze, China had 24, and 20. Great Britain did have 29, but we basically doubled China. The U.S. had 44 silver. China had 27 silver, and France had 26. So there's your top runners in the three categories. And as my understanding, as we record right here, that the Olympic flag, Jason, has been delivered to Los Angeles for the 2028 Summer Olympics. The flag has been passed. And as I was asking you off the air, did Snoop Dogg deliver the flag, or was he at LAX receiving the flag?
That's a good question.
Maybe both. and the reason I bring him up is it seemed like he was on every broadcast every night. It did appear that he was one of our bigger fans from the United States of America during these times. So, and him being an LA boy, you can only imagine what he's going to get to do in 4 years. He's probably already working on it right now. Nevertheless, here we are. And we have not really talked about motivation and our money, motivation, and Mike. We have not talked about the motivation part here in a while. And this is more along the line of the motivation part. And that's when I said we got a happy subject today. It's about being happy. And I've done some research here, and I've also went to CNN and gotten a few things, and they did some interviewing with Dr. Robert Waldinger. He's the director of the Harvard Study of Adult Development. And here are their 5 ways to get there, to be happy. At the end of the day, don't we all want to be happy? And I believe it starts with getting up happy. And if you're not happy when you get up, what am I going to do throughout the day to find a way? Is my next goal to be happy by noon, to be happy by lunchtime? What is it I have to do? Am I not going to be happy until I walk out of that office or off that job at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon? You've got to find a way and what makes you happy. And here are the 5 ways. according to the good doctor and brought to us by CNN, and being happy. Now, interesting is that Americans are really into pursuing happiness right now. You know, where Americans have been into owning their own home, been into financial independence. Back 50, 75, 100 years ago, it was about how many kids can we have to work on that farm or ranch? What were they into? And what does happiness mean? What is the difference? The difference of happiness is in each individual, and it will probably shift over a lifetime. Now, some of the things, what brings you happiness? Is it joy? Is it love, purpose, money, health, freedom, friendship, romance, gratitude? A big word for me with happiness is the word peace. And I work real hard on trying to find peace on a regular day. Now, what they found was that the important thing to stay actively connected with at least a few people, because all we need is a sense of connection to somebody as we go through life. That was a big part of being happy, which is about relationships. So, as the doctor says, and the people who were connected to others lived longer and stayed physically healthier than the people who were more isolated, he said. That was a surprise in the study. Not that people were happier, but that they lived longer by being happy. So, living your happiest life, you know, and like I say, what does that mean? And what word is that for you? And how would you define good, the good life? You know, is it being married with kids? Is it traveling all the time? Is it being debt free? Is it sitting around and telling everybody about how great you are, your fame and fortune, whatever the case may be? The Harvard study on the adult development, they've spent nearly 90 years examining what makes people happy and healthier over a lifetime. And by the way, let me go ahead and give out a shout out here to Dr. Waldinger's book, The Good Life. So you can go and find The Good Life at a bookstore, or I'm sure you can listen to it on you can buy it online and listen at any time you want to. So why would having quality relationships help people live happier and longer lives? Now, once again, according to the data, the best data that we have, and this is the doctor talking, and other studies has to do with stress and the relief of stress. And being around people supposedly helps in those categories. And well, not supposedly, they got 90 years of research. It does. And coming back to what makes you happy. Something I don't get to do hardly at all that has always gave me that word peace is playing some golf, hitting golf balls, because something crazy about that little old ball sitting there still on a tee or on the ground that is so hard to hit. And it takes a lot of concentration and a lot of focus. But within that is where I have always found a lot of peace, because as I'm focusing on that golf ball, there's nothing else in the world that I can think about to have a successful shot. And if my 100% focus is not on the little white ball, I'm not going to be successful. And then when you hit a bad shot, it comes back to, now, what did I do wrong? What did I do right if I hit a good shot? Once again, your focus is straight on the game. But golf has been a place where I have been able to escape a time or two in my life. And frankly, it comes up to our first topic here of the 5, which is don't neglect the basics. So if hitting a golf ball is important to me and it helps me to relieve that stress and find that peace and that balance, why am I not doing it more? Because I don't make it a priority. And you've got to make a priority. And that's as simple as don't neglect the basics. You have to find your physical health. Now, what does that mean? exercise regularly, eating well. It means not doing excess of alcohol or drugs. Matter of fact, you won't be doing drugs at all, but there are a lot of so-called social drinkers. We can't be abusing the alcohol. And here is the big one that I really struggle with when it comes down to don't neglect the basics. Getting a reasonable amount of sleep. And no matter what. Now, that is the biggest thing that I struggle with daily, is getting enough sleep. Because I'm going to do one more project, going to do one more, and one more leads into another hour, into 2 hours, and then you look up and you go, oh my goodness, I've got to get up an X amount of hours now, and I have just neglected my sleep. So, number one, don't neglect the basics, health. Number two, level up your social life. Take care of your social fitness, the doctor says. If you feel that you need more connection with people, be active in working on that. Okay, so here, quantity. If you feel, the doctor quotes, if you feel you don't have enough people in your life to whom you're connected, take action steps to make more relationships, to bring people into your life. You need to get involved in activities. Maybe in my case, a golf course. Maybe I need to take some with me. A little bit more of a social time. Maybe you need to be playing golf with 3 others to make it a foursome, etc. Maybe you need to join a club. Maybe you need to be more involved in your religious community and the organizations that go along there. Maybe you need to be involved in an alumni association of your high school or your college or whatever that case may be. Who knows? I mean, I know numerous elder folks, the grandmas and the grandpas of the world, who after their kids were grown, come back and got involved in youth sports. And as a matter of fact, you're going to believe this, Jason. When I was in Little League, we had 6 teams in the major leagues. 3 of those 6 coaches did not have a child in Little League. They had already moved on, and at this particular case, they were junior high. 3 of the 6 head coaches did not have a child playing Little League baseball. It was something that they liked to do. Maybe it was their way to get away. It was their happy place to go be happy. And I believe it was. Okay, moving right along. Strengthen existing relationships. What if I have enough people in my life, but I don't feel connected enough to them? I have to work on my friendships. Or I have to let my friendships go and get some new ones, but strengthen the existing relationships. Now, what if you find that the relationship you currently have, the other person doesn't want to strengthen it? Maybe they only want to see you once a month for lunch, and you need more than that. Well, then you would go back and find more social things to get involved in to find more relationships. But when you have those relationships, you must strengthen those existing relationships. That requires you to put time into it. Something as simple as putting more time into your marriage or your relationship with your best friends, because maybe, as we all have and maybe still do, we take some of those for granted and that they're going to be there tomorrow. But maybe they're needing more out of a relationship that you're willing to give, and maybe they won't be there tomorrow. And likewise. So strengthen the existing relationships, and you're going to find out if those relationships can grow to another level. And if they're strong, keep them strong. I have a circle of friends that we are very, very strong and have been since the grade school, junior high days. And I'm very happy that we continue to talk in our little circle to this day. And it means a lot, not only to us, but it also means a lot to our parents, and particularly our mothers, that they see that, because you go back and you think, who does my mother hang out with every day? Who does my father hang out with every day? Who does my brothers and sisters hang out with every day? Do we know any of their friends? Do they still stay in touch with their fifth grade classmates? Did they still stay in touch with the people they graduated with? What is the reason they did? What is the reason they didn't? Now, I know in my particular case, strengthening existing relationships is what we were all about. So better than letting them wilter away from neglect, you have to invest. Okay, maybe you just want somebody to go have a cup of coffee with. Take a walk around the block. Maybe one of your relationships is your neighbor two, three doors down, and y'all walk every night at when you get home from work. Maybe that's the relationship you need. You got to find that relationship, as we've been talking about, and then you need to strengthen those existing relationships that hopefully you already have. Now, within these relationships, you've got to be able to express yourself. If you can't come out and say exactly what's on your mind without offending the other person, maybe it's not really a relationship. Maybe you guys are just hanging out. But you need to consider values as that important when you're coming along with a friendship, so that you can determine that you can express yourself, that you can talk to your relationship friend, whomever they are, with an open heart and an open mind, and be willing to talk. Now, going out and being able to talk about these important topics can also have a negative. If we have things such as politics or religion or beliefs, I mean, even going on down to, do you look at marijuana as a social event that is no big deal to you? Or do you look at marijuana, as Nancy Reagan said in the 1980s, say no, just say no? Do you look at maybe you got a friend that doesn't drink, and then you want to go out and have at least a drink every night or every Friday night, whatever the case may be. When you express yourself and you have thoughts on your mind and those thoughts come out, you need to be prepared for those consequences. And that's why when you're working in your relationships and strengthening them, so you need to own in your self-expressions, and you need to determine if this is something that we can go forward with. And I don't agree with everything with my friends and family. Sometimes you have to agree to disagree, but there are things out here. You want to find out the test of your relationships. You want to find out how solid we are. Go talk about abortion. Go talk about politics. Go talk about health care. Go talk about the Social Security system. You go look at all that stuff. And you talk to, if you can talk to your family and friends and your relationship buddies, and you can talk about those topics, then you probably have been strengthening your existing relationships. But expressing yourself, it's got to be a part. The people whose activities allow them to express what's most meaningful to them is in a good relationship where they can express themselves. Now, those are people who end up being the happiest and feeling the best about their lives. So, but remember, when you express yourself, you may receive negativity coming back, and you need to be prepared for that. But you shouldn't be anything. And how many, Jason, you think about this, of the people that you know and pretty intimately, how many marriages are there out there that one spouse or the other cannot express themselves because of the grief and feedback and discussions, arguments that they're going to get into by doing that? A lot.
Yeah.
Yes. So maybe strengthening your existing relationship needs the one that you call your significant other. Maybe that's a good place to start, because if you can't express yourself in that relationship, you really struggle. If you can't express yourself in disciplining your children without the backlash of that, you're really going to be in trouble there too. So relationships, being able to express yourself, on and on and on. Now, as I've already kind of touched on here, when we express ourselves, we have to be prepared to accept and embrace change, which is the number 5 topic of being happy. All right. So people change all the time. Relationships change. Are you going to learn to accommodate these changes with your friend and your relationship? Or is it my way or the highway? And there are a lot of my way or the highway people. It's one of the other reasons why you should be trying to strengthen your existing relationships with those that you have in common. So can we notice how we're changing or how our friend is changing? And can we accept the change and maybe even celebrate and support the change rather than resisting it, according to the good doctor? So that change comes along, and hey, you guys, just like with my friends. I mean, we growing up in the 1980s. I mean, it's called marijuana and medical marijuana and weed and all this. Growing up in the 80s, it was dope, and we had a hard stance. My circle of friends, I can't ever remember seeing them with an illegal drug in their possession. But back to this marijuana thing, which, by the way, is still illegal in this country. Now, where we record from with our show, with our YouTube channel and podcast, we're right here on the Oklahoma-Texas border. Texas, it's illegal. Oklahoma, it is not. So you run into people from both sides of the fence on a regular, daily, hourly basis. So you need to be prepared for that. And someone's topic of how they felt 25 years ago might be different today. And are you going to be able to embrace that? And can you deal with them in the public and you don't care when they go home what they do? That's something that you have to think about, and it goes along with our principles and that we build, and with the relationships that we have. And often relationships get into trouble when they try to freeze them or in some way freeze the other person. So if you're looking for a robot, you're probably not going to be able to have a relationship with a person or an individual. Maybe you need to get a dog. And dogs seem to, in most cases, are obedient and obey. I mean, goodness, Jason, you know, most veterinarian clinics on a regular basis have obedience school. Should we have obedience school for children? Should we have obedience school for our spouses? But we have obedience school for dogs. Can you imagine going home today and telling your lovely wife, hey, you're going to have to go to obedience school for us to move forward. And you're going to have a 2-week class, and you will be graduating here right around Labor Day. And I know this will strengthen our relationship. There's nothing wrong with you. You need to go. There's nothing wrong with me, but you need to go to obedience school. How's that going to go over for you?
Not very well.
No,
I guarantee it.
Not at all. But we take a little Rover over here, and we take Rover down to the vet, to the clinic, and he's going to go to obedience school. Huh. Never thought of it that way, did you? Maybe our first big hoop-de-doo with all of our fan base should be obedience school for the human. Think we might have to shut down the show? Hey, I still get emails over my talk on the animals and the service dog, and coming on to the airplane, and they got the dogs in the grocery stores and all this other stuff. Oh man. I've gotten from everybody except for Biden. He has not sent me anything on that particular subject. Okay. One way to learn how to accept such change, particularly when someone's annoying or when you're having trouble in your relationship, according to Dr. Waldinger, is to bring as much curiosity as you can to the relationship. And that goes along with, hey, I've noticed you've, the way you've been talking, you've changed your stance on marijuana. Hey, explain that to me so I can better understand it. That's how you could attempt to go at change within your relationship. Okay, so it helps the other person feel that you're interested. That, hey, I'm totally against that, so I don't even want to talk about it. maybe you do need to talk about it. And maybe you need to embrace the conversation and be genuine, that you genuinely want to know. It also allows you to learn more about why are they thinking the way they are. And that's particularly important now, where we're so divided on so many topics in this country. Because as was just mentioned, people change, you change, I change, your taste buds change, your body changes. Your thoughts and your minds and your beliefs change as well. And you need to be prepared for that, or you are going to go into things with a closed mind, and you will be sitting on the couch by yourself. And the only people who want to be around you are the ones that have to. Maybe it's your spouse and your children, or someone else. Maybe it's your next door neighbor, because they want to be miserable like you. So, as it concludes here with Dr. Waldinger, no life is happy all the time. Moment to moment happiness changes. We can imagine that. I just have to do everything right, and then I'll be happy all the time. And he says, and that's not true for anyone. It's not true for anybody. It's an impossible thing to do. And if you're setting yourself up to be perfect all the time, and I'll tell you, there's been many days, many years that I've gotten up and tried to be perfect, and every day is a failure. So if you're trying to be perfect, and if you don't get perfection, and you're going to be disappointed, and you may have accomplished 99% of what you wanted to do that day. You may have accomplished more than anybody on earth. But if you're looking for being perfect, you're probably going to come short. Okay, now I've also written down a couple things here that the doctor did not discuss. And the number one thing that I have is mindset. Being happy in my eyes is a mindset. Being in a bad attitude is a mindset. I go back to what we've talked about on this show, getting up on the right side of the bed. It's a mindset. It is a choice. You can choose to be happy. Now, things are going to happen. And I know some people, no matter what happens to them, they're going to be happy. They're going to make the best of every situation. I know people who could win the lottery and it would be a miserable experience for them. They cannot be happy. They need discomfort. They need to be able to argue. They need to not be able to get along in their life. And maybe that's what makes them happy. It doesn't appear to be, but hey, some people are happy being miserable. I particularly don't want to do that. Mindset, getting up on the right side of the bed. And another one that is very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do when you've had family all your life since the day you were born. You've had friendships for most of your life as you've grown into adulthood. But you have to be prepared, and this is me, removing negative people in your life. You have to be prepared to remove the toxic in your life, because some people are miserable. They enjoy being miserable, and they're happiest when you're miserable. They do not like you showing up in this great old grand jolly mood every day. They do not like seeing you coming, because you're going to really bust their bubble. You're going to be happy. You're going to ask them questions. How's their day going? And you don't even want to answer the question. You're already in a bad mood before they even get there because of how much of a good mood they're in. You have to remove those people in your life. And I have done that. And some of those people have a very, very, very difficult time dealing with that. And part of that is because I tolerated it for so long. It's the same old thing. You tell the kid to stay out of the cookie jar, but every day he goes and gets one, he or she goes and gets a cookie, and there's no consequences. Why would I change? And then all of a sudden one day you do slap the hand. You do the discipline. You notice I didn't say put them in the corner for timeout, Jason. Here comes Child Protective Services next week on this show. you have to be prepared to remove these folks, and you have to be prepared to suffer the consequences, because there's going to be some discomfort in removing someone from your life that is a cancer. And I hate using that word, but that's so well used, because that is one of the ugliest words in our health vocabulary. You have to remove the toxic, and you have to remove the negative energy, because all it's going to do is bring you down. You have a hard enough time keeping yourself happy, positive, going forward. How can you go and drag someone else along with you? You can't. Take the horse to the water but can't make them drink is right up the alley on this type of deal. Quit trying to change the world, and I have. So be happy. And once again, CNN, as this was an article that CNN and of course going back to the Harvard study, the director, Dr. Robert Waldinger, the director of the Harvard study of adult development, is where a lot of these topics came from. And what I thought was intriguing is 90 years ago, we were studying what makes us happy. How come we cannot find something a little more advanced on mental health, which is a major, major health issue in this world? We know how to fix an arm, a broken arm. You can have a leg going in the wrong direction, and it can be fixed before you go to bed. But when it comes to mental health, we are struggling as a society. We're struggling in this country. We're struggling in this world. 90 years of research, still not enough. It goes along the line with the other big health issue, which is cancer. So, once again, Money, Motivation, and Mike, we continue to bring you topics that we think will make you happy, Jason. Mm-hmm. Make you happy. You think that people in LA are happy? They've got less than 4 years now to be ready. Got to get old Snoop Dogg out there and get him going. You know? And remember, old Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn, she lives out there in LA. He or she, big. I went over that 2 weeks ago. My first big Olympic hero, Bruce Jenner, 1976, Wheaties box, decathlete. You can always find us at mx3.vip. You can always contact us, info@mx3.vip. And of course, on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@MX3 Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, which, as of the recording of this show, Jason, 61,313 people have subscribed. And they get notified by you every Monday morning around 9 o'clock Central Time. Central Time.
Yes.
Yes. Correct. That's exactly right. So these people on the East Coast, they get up and at 9 o'clock, there's no Money, Motivation, and Mike. They're mad at you, Jason. They don't realize that 8 o'clock. And hey, us being on the Western time zone, everybody's ahead of us. Or, you know, in not the Western time zone, the Western part of the world.
Yeah.
It all happens before it gets to us. That's why we save the best for last. Once again, everybody's been a part of this show for Money, Motivation, and Mike. Until next time, continue to live your life the right way.